What's going on, guys? It's Isaac from Ravens Watch. Appreciate you for tuning in to another episode. Today is my final NFL mock draft 2.0. The NFL draft is tonight at 8 p.m. The goal is to be as accurate as we possibly can with our predictions. On draft night, if a team at the top, they make a shocking pick or they trade out of their spot, there's usually a trickle-down effect which can throw off everyone's board. Our goal is to try to avoid that to the best of our ability. If we have a team trading up, then we're going to want to, maybe it's not always going to be the right team, but it's for the right player. That's easier to predict, and there's a grading scale out there that gives you points for that, which I think is pretty valid. So we're going to circle back to the grading scale after night one, and without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so we're kicking things off with the Raiders at number 1. Obvious at this point, not a doubt in anyone's head, it's going to be Fernando Mendoza, and it makes a lot of sense. Mendoza is a pro-ready NFL quarterback, 6'5", 240 pounds. He has a solid arm. He's accurate across all three levels of the field. He plays with a certain toughness and tenacity, which I think GMs will gravitate towards. The Raiders, perhaps the most QB-needy team in the league, get their guy at number 1. Jets at 2. This is where I really have to tap into the idea that it's not what I would do if I were the GM of this team. It's what I think the team is going to do. And based off the intel, the sources, it's probably going to be David Bailey. And I think Arvell Reese makes a little more sense for the Jets. This is a team that's not ready to compete right away. Arvell Reese gives you more projection, more upside. But David Bailey is a more refined pass rusher right now. And after trading Jermaine Johnson to the Titans this offseason, they might just be looking for an instant stand-in starter for him. And that could definitely be David Bailey. Cardinals at 3. Now, the smoke right now is that they're going to stick and pick Jeremiah Love. I don't buy it. I think that they have a running back room that is good enough right now where they need to address other positions, especially across the offensive line. So I'm going to have a trade up here from the Saints. The Saints can maybe move 8 and a 1 next year for 3 straight up, and that gets accepted. And I think they would go with Arvell Reese. Listen, the Saints need more pass rush. This is a young and ascending team. And yeah, trading another first next year is a big, steep price. But if you think Arvell Reese has Micah Parsons' potential, and if their defensive coordinator, Brandon Staley, thinks he can tap into that, well, then you have a defensive cornerstone player for your franchise for the next 10 years. Titans at 4. I think if people think Jeremiah Love can go as high as 3 to the Cardinals, why can't he go to the Titans at 4? Yes, you go ahead and you have Tony Pollard, you have Tyjae Spears. I don't think either of those players are stopping you from taking Jeremiah Love. He's got dynamic speed. He's got great receiving ability. He can pass protect. He adds a new layer to this offense that doesn't exist, and it takes pressure off of Cam Ward. Yeah, he's not a boundary wide receiver. He's not an offensive lineman, but a quarterback can get help from a running back in a multitude of ways. Giants at 5 here. Couple directions they could go in. I think Sonny Styles or Caleb Downs, if both of the Ohio State guys are in play. I think the Jordan Tyson hype is real, but I think that's more likely with their 10th pick than their 5th pick. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Caleb Downs. You have John Harbaugh coming over from the Ravens. Maybe they think they can deploy Caleb Downs in a similar role to Kyle Hamilton. Not that they're the exact same type of player, because they're not, but they both are versatile. They both have high football IQ, leadership abilities. So I think Caleb Downs to the Giants at 5. If they think he's their guy, they're not going to wait till 10 to get their guy. Browns at 6. Potentially another trade down spot, and that's what I'm going to do. And I think with Sonny Styles still on the board, the Cowboys are going to look to move up. Now, this trade is interesting because both these teams have 2 first-round picks. So the Cowboys would be moving up 6 spots from 12 to 6, and then the Browns would be moving up 4 spots from 24 to 20. Obviously, that 6th pick is more valuable than the 20th compared to the 24th. So the Cowboys would definitely have to throw in a sweetener. Maybe that's like 112 and a pick next year. We'll just do 112 for now. We'll see if that trade goes through. And it does. So the Cowboys at 6 goes Sonny Styles. Obviously, major need an inside linebacker. Their defense was ranked, I think, last in the NFL last season. They need more players, and Sonny Styles, dynamic athlete, 6'5", 243 pounds, former safety, converted linebacker. Rarely misses tackles. He's almost a perfect linebacker prospect, and that is the Cowboys' biggest need on their roster. Commanders at 7. I think Cardinal Tate still on the board would just make a lot of sense. Obviously, you have another Ohio State receiver in Terry McLaurin. Outside of him, who's getting older, you have nobody else in that room. Okay, so the Cardinals now pick at 8 after that trade down, and they still get a player they might have taken at 3 in Francis Mauigoga. He's going to be my first offensive lineman off the board. Plug-and-play starter at right tackle, can definitely slide into guard if you need him to. And the Cardinals were just focused on building up their roster for whoever will be their quarterback. Maybe we get a quarterback later in this draft for the Cardinals. But either way, you have major holes on the right side of the offensive line. Mike LaFleur, if he wants to install his offense, he can't have a liability in the trenches. We see that throw off rebuilds all the time. The Jets right now are following that blueprint of, okay, let's get our 5 offensive linemen set, and then we'll figure out the rest. Cardinals should go down a similar path at least. Chiefs at 9. I think Ruben Bain Jr. will be the pick for the Chiefs. I'm pretty confident in this one. I think he'll be there at 9, but I don't see him sliding past 9. I think the Chiefs go in and grab their guy. Yes, the arm length is a concern. Don't let people tell you it's not. These teams will read into that. There hasn't been a edge rusher drafted in the first round with that little arm length in like the last decade. So statistics will tell you he might not get drafted top 10. I think he will, because I think what he lacks in length, he makes up for in effort and motor and strength off the edge. The Chiefs need more juice off the edge in their pass rush. Ruben Bain certainly can provide that. Giants at 10, and I will bite the bullet on Jordan Tyson. I really buy into the hype that he is going to be the pick here. This is a guy who is an outside receiver, X type of receiver, vertical jump ability, fast, good route runner. The only problem is his lengthy injury history, but if he clears their medicals, he looked good at his pro day. So I think that if you could pair him up with Malik Nabers in New York with Jackson Dart at quarterback, you're kind of assembling an offensive nucleus that could be pretty threatening. Dolphins at 11. Between 2 players here for me, I'm looking at Spencer Fano and I'm looking at Mansour Delane. Spencer Fano, all 5 type of offensive linemen. He could play either tackle spot, either guard spot, took reps at center at the combine. So this is a guy who will upgrade their offensive line immediately. But I think with John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley, they're going to want an outside corner who can be dominant at times, and that's Mansour Delane. Was the best corner in the country last season, always hip to hip, fundamentally sound, ran 4.38, and his number one complaint before his pro day was, maybe he can get burnt deep. Maybe he doesn't have that long-term speed. Shut those rumors down when he ran the 4.38. I think that solidifies him in the top 12, and Mansour Delane is a Dolphin. Browns at 12 after their trade back. I think this is a tackle here, and they have really good options here on the board. And the smoke right now is that it's going to be Caden Proctor, and I believe it. This is a guy who is 6'7", 350 pounds, and when he's at his best, he is the best offensive lineman, or at least offensive tackle, in this draft. The problem is you're not getting that same consistent Caden Proctor on a snap-to-snap basis. Sometimes he looked lazy. Sometimes he's not tracking guys in the run game. But this is not just some oaf at 6'7", 350. This is a guy who can move, great athlete, and if you can develop him into being a consistent starter at left tackle, you have a steal at 12, although he could go much later. Rams at 13, I think they take a hard look at Makai Lemon, right? And I think that would be a nice fit in the McVay offense. But ultimately, the reports are that they could look to trade down, and I see the rationale here, okay? They have a decent amount of picks. They definitely have a decent amount of picks here, as you can tell. They might want to add some more, and if they move down, it won't be significantly. But I look at the Panthers here at 19, who could be eyeing a certain player, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Carolina Panthers would probably have to trade 19 and 83 for 13. That goes through, and I think they will go ahead and go Spencer Fano. Now, offensive line is not the immediate biggest need for Carolina, but it's an underrated need. Taylor Moton, their right tackle, is not getting any younger. His contract will be expiring soon. And outside of him, you lose your starting center in free agency. Fano could play that maybe in year 1, right? And then left tackle, Ike Mekwonu, is probably going to miss all, if not most, of the 2026 season. Yes, you bring in Rasheed Walker from the Packers. I don't think that would stop you from drafting Fano. So you have an insurance policy at left tackle, potential starter at left tackle for most of the year. And then you have him could start at center because they don't have a center rostered right now, at least someone who's in real contention to start. And then at right tackle, Taylor Moton is not getting any younger. Long-term answer potentially at right tackle. So there's 3 positions that he could play for short-term and in the long term. And anything you know about the NFL, you can never have enough offensive linemen. There will be injuries. You will need to put a guy in if someone's hurt, and luckily Fano has that versatility, which really makes a perfect fit, I believe, to the Panthers. Get Bryce Young some more protection. My Baltimore Ravens here at 14. I went with Vega Ioane in my mock draft on Tuesday, and I'm sticking with it. I really think this is going to be Vega Ioane, guard out at Penn State. Super powerful player. He is athletic in pass protection. He gets to the second level. He packs a powerful punch. This is a team that needs to get stronger up front in protecting Lamar Jackson. You saw how bad the guard play was last year. That even affected their center, who ended up signing with the Raiders in free agency, Tyler Linderbaum. So if you can improve those 2 guard spots, they already signed John Simpson. That's an upgrade. Now you get Vega Ioane to play right guard. And they still need a center. There's guys that I like late in the draft in the 3rd and 4th round, maybe even the 2nd round that they could add. And your offensive line improves as a unit. Despite losing Linderbaum, it makes a lot of sense. Yes, the Ravens have a lot of other needs at receiver, at defensive tackle. You could argue edge, corner. All still needs, nothing as prominent as the interior of the offensive line. Buccaneers at 15. I really like the fit of getting Keldrick Falk into this pass rush room. This is a guy who wins with power. Reminds me a lot of Mykel Williams from last year. This is a guy who wins with power. He wins with strength off the edge. He's the best run-defending edge in this draft. New York Jets at 16, and Makai Lemon really just fell right into their laps. Can play in the slot for them right away. You have Garrett Wilson and Adonai Mitchell on the outside. They just gear up, continue to gear up for whoever is their quarterback that they might draft next year. They have Geno Smith in that room already. Decent young offensive line, added some players on defense. Obviously, you get David Bailey at 2. Makai Lemon, he's just shifty. He is really just dominant at the catch point despite being undersized. Runs a great slot fade. Just really versatile, slot, shifty, gadgety option. Yes, he's not the best athlete in the entire world, but you see Amon-Ra St. Brown win with different ways. These guys know how to find blind spots. These guys know how to find the blind spot in coverages. They know how to win one-on-one against corners. Makai Lemon, good fit to the Jets at 16. And the Lions are blessed to have landed Monroe Freeling at 17. This is a guy who was mocked at 6 of the Browns only a couple weeks ago in the cycle, but he falls here. He doesn't pack the most powerful punch you've ever seen at left tackle, but these guys will work with him hands-on. They will improve his strength. He will get stronger in the NFL as he continues to line up against these elite edge rushers. But this is a guy who really is designed to play left tackle. 6'7", 315 pounds, great footwork. He's good in the run game. He will need to improve with his play strength, but that can be coached up. That can be built in the NFL weight room. Vikings at 18, I think they do go Dylan Thieneman, a versatile defensive back out of Oregon. He's good playing in the back end. He's good downhill. They need to add more to their secondary. Now the Rams pick at 19 after that trade back with Carolina. And yes, they don't get Makai Lemon, who they might have been looking for, but I still think Omar Cooper Jr. can fit that Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan receiver bill. He's good in the slot. He can line up outside. He's got good speed. He ran 4.4 at the combine. He is good after the catch. He had one of the best catches in college football last year, if you remember. Just really could be a nice fit alongside Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, who's not getting any younger in this offense. Browns at 20, so they were picking at 24, but after that kind of flip-flop trade with the Cowboys, where they picked up an extra pick, they now go ahead and can get their wide receiver after taking Caden Proctor with their first pick. And Denzel Boston provides a lot of outside presence. He's got a good catch radius, but he can also line up in the slots. You get some versatility there out of him. They need to add more to the receiver room. They need more help for likely Shedeur Sanders. Guess there's a chance it's Deshaun Watson, as crazy as that sounds. But Denzel Boston I like a lot to the Browns at 20. Steelers at 21. I think we get a little bit of a run on wide receivers here, and I think Casey Concepcion is a good fit for Pittsburgh. They have a lot of outside presence already with the Steelers. You have Michael Pittman, DK Metcalf, both outside type of receivers. You get Casey Concepcion in the slot, gives you a different skill set, a different role. He is good after the catch. He's a dynamic athlete, middle of the field target. If it's Aaron Rodgers, if it's Will Howard, if it's a rookie, they need more to throw to. Casey Concepcion adds another layer to that offense. Chargers at 22. Yes, the needs on the interior of the offensive line are immense. I don't think there's a guy that you can really justify taking here. Emmanuel Pregnon, I like as a player. Chase Posontis, even Keelan Rutledge. I like these guys. 22 would be a little too high. Maybe you trade back, get him at the end of the first. It's more justifiable. But right now, I don't think I can get behind that. But I can get behind adding on the other side of the trenches in Caden McDonald, perhaps the best run-defending interior defensive lineman in this draft. Gives you a high floor. He has some upside, too, as a pass rusher. Eagles at 23. I'm going to stick with Blake Miller here to be their long-term right tackle. Can sit and learn under a year with Lane Johnson in the building. And he is a good player. He is pro-ready. That could be big for the Eagles in the long term, just not having to wait a while to find their right tackle of the future. You get a guy who can sit and learn. He's got good play strength. He's good on the move. He's a good run blocker. I just think it's a good fit at 23 for the Eagles. Cowboys at 24. I'm going to have them getting a guy who can really go anywhere. And I think Jermod McCoy is the most fascinating, arguably the most fascinating name to watch on draft night tonight. Could he go in the top 12? Yeah, I think the Cowboys could take him if they were to stay at 12 like they were supposed to, all the way as high as there. I also think maybe Miami even at 11, although that's less likely. Maybe the Jets at 16, maybe the Vikings at 18, maybe the Browns with one of their picks. Could look at McCoy, Dolphins obviously at 30. He could fall to the first round entirely. Just a fascinating name to watch. If you're wondering why he's so controversial, it's because he missed all of last season with a torn ACL. Didn't compete at the combine. Ran at his pro day. Ran a good 40 time, 4.38. But people who were there watching his drills said he didn't look fully ready to come back. Now there's reports that he might need a follow-up surgery. This can make him fall to the first round, but the Cowboys, they need corners so bad. You land Sonny Styles after a trade up in the first round. You get a guy to bolster your secondary even further. Then you are really fixing the defense, which is such a liability for this team last year. We have the Chicago Bears at 25. I know my last mock draft, I had Peter Woods, a player I really like a lot, but let's go with his Clemson teammate, TJ Parker here. They need more juice off the edge. TJ Parker, not the craziest athlete in the world, but he's got a good first step. He's got some juice off the edge. He's got good bend, and he's a really sound run defender. This was a team that lacked pass rush bad last year. You have Montez Sweat, who's a solid player, and then you obviously paid Dayo Oyobingo a big contract last season for no production. So you're going to add another edge to this room. TJ Parker makes a lot of sense. Bills at 26. I think just with Jim Leiter coming over, that defensive scheme, they're lacking at linebacker for what they need to be able to do in the scheme. And CJ Allen is a plug-and-play Mike at the NFL level. Green dot kind of guy, high character guy. Everyone who's ever coached or been with CJ Allen has raved about his character, his leadership qualities. This is a guy who's maybe not the most insane athlete in the entire world, but he's good enough. He's sideline to sideline. Yes, he looked banged up at his pro day. Reports are saying he's getting healthier and healthier up until training camp, mini camp, OTAs. So I think it's a good fit at 26, end of the first round. Maybe he doesn't make it in round 1. I think he does. 49ers here at 27. The reports are that if Caleb Lomu, offensive tackle, is on the board, they're going to take him. I don't buy it, especially if Kenyon Sadiq is on the board here. Kenyon Sadiq adds so much speed into this offense. We heard Kyle Shanahan talk about that earlier in this offseason. They wanted to add him more speed. I don't think they've done that yet. Yes, they've signed Mike Evans. All right. Yes, they've signed, it was Christian Kirk. Okay. Mike Evans, outside receiver, not a speed threat. I don't think anybody would classify Mike Evans as a speed threat. He is a older receiver now, reliable at the catch point, gives them some route running ability on the outside, but he's not a down-the-field speed threat. Kenyon Sadiq can really play that power slot role for them. He ran 4.38. He's almost fast. He probably is faster than any receiver they got, but he's going to play at that tight end position. He can block on the move. You have Ricky Pearsall at the Z. You have Mike Evans at the X, and you have Kenyon Sadiq in the slot. That's a lot. And then obviously George Kittle as your true inline tight end, which Kenyon Sadiq could look to become that once George Kittle hangs it up. But I like Kenyon Sadiq to the 49ers at 27. Perhaps one of my favorite fits in this mock draft. Texans at 28. Obviously, maybe still need a guard. Maybe need a center. I don't think there's anybody that's really worth taking here at 28. Although Peter Woods is still on the board. They need to get younger on the interior. Peter Woods really was considered to be a top 5, top 10 pick way, way early in the cycle. You turn on the 2025 tape, it is worse than 2024. It's not bad. You get a lot of people that mix that up. Peter Woods was not bad last year. He was still solid. He wasn't as dominant, but you've seen him be able to be dominant against elite competition. The Texans and D'Amico Ryans, they just have a way of developing good defensive talent. You get Peter Woods at 28, perhaps a steal. Chiefs at 29 after going with Ruben Bain at 9. I think you go ahead and get Avion Terrell. You trade Trent McDuffie to the Rams, and I see some overlapping in their skill sets. Obviously, Trent McDuffie, all-pro player, not going to be disrespectful to him, but Avion Terrell has inside-outside flexibility, has a knack for finding the ball in coverage. Brother of A.J. Terrell, some say he's better. We'll see. Dolphins at 30. You went ahead and you upgraded at corner with Mansour Delane with the 11th pick. And I think you can upgrade at edge with Akeem Mesidor. Keep him in state. Yes, he's an older prospect at 25, and yes, the Dolphins aren't necessarily a win-now team. But if they believe Mesidor could be a dominant edge rusher, he is sound. He's a good run defender, and he has juice off the edge. He's one of the more complete. He's a guy you can play on every down. Not every edge rusher in this draft is like that. Cassius Howell isn't like that. There's obviously R. Mason Thomas on the board. Zion Young. Not all these guys are every down edge rushers, but if you can get a guy at 30 who is that, it's just good value. Patriots at 31, I think Max Ianker just makes too much sense. You saw Mike Vrabel very hands-on with him at his pro day. Max should go ahead and play right tackle for them in the long term, sit behind Morgan Moses for a few years, but he could also just play left tackle for the Patriots if you want to slide Will Campbell into guard. Max Ianker has that powerful punch. He's got that natural arm length, which showed up as a liability for Will Campbell last year, just doesn't have that same ability. So either way, they'll figure that out through training camp, what they're going to order their offensive line. But Max Ianker is just a good add for this team. Seahawks at 32, GM John Snyder came out and said he's looking to trade out of this pick, and I buy it. This is a team, if you look, they have 4 draft picks in the entire draft, okay? Not that many in 2027. Obviously, comp pick formula might help them out a little bit. But if they want to trade, I think maybe a divisional rival, you can add that division rival tax if the Cardinals are really desperate. They trade up. Maybe it's 34, 104, and like a 5th next year for just moving up 2 spots into round 1. And that's not going to get accepted. We'll go ahead and enforce this trade just so it happens. And I think the Cardinals would be trading back into round 1 for Ty Simpson. We see teams do this from time to time. You think back last year to Jackson Dart. Giants get their guy at 3 and Abdul Carter. And then they trade up back into the first round. I believe it was with the Texans to get Jackson Dart. You saw this with the Ravens when they traded it back into round 1 at 32 to go ahead and get Lamar Jackson. Ty Simpson's not Lamar Jackson, definitely not. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like a Brock Purdy type of player, and you might say, well, that's too steep. The 49ers got Brock Purdy in the 6th round. Yes, that's true. Brock Purdy is an underrated player, and if there were a redraft, he would go toward the end of round 1. He provides an element to the offense. He provides stability. And if Ty Simpson can be that for the Cardinals, Mike LaFleur is going to try to implement a similar offense to what they did in San Fran. Ty Simpson can deliver the ball to all the receivers, all the targets. 1-year starter, so not a lot of experience under his belt. He was really, really good that first half of the season for Alabama. Then kind of the production went a little bit down. The efficiency went down. But if they can tap in to what he was earlier in the season, that would be a good value pick at 32. Ultimately, we'll see if he goes in round 1. He's going to be in the green room. We've seen it before where Will Levis sat in the green room, never got drafted. But Ty Simpson looks pretty confident that he will get drafted in round 1. 32 to the Cardinals is what I have after a trade-in. So that is my final mock draft. I'm feeling pretty good about it. I projected a couple trades. Those are always hard to get right. Maybe it's the right team, not the right spot, not the right player. Maybe it's the wrong team, the right player. You never know exactly, but I feel like I might have nailed some of these, so we'll go ahead and we'll circle back after the draft. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. See you guys next time. Peace out.